Hello, my name is Sharon Cleveland, and here is my rebuttal to Jordan's argument that income inequality is not a problem for business and society. Let's start off by reviewing Jordan's claims. He supports his argument with 3 points. One is that income inequality often correlates with economic growth. The second point is, and therefore is good, the second point is that wealth is used to benefit the good of society, and he references John Rockefeller and lower fuel prices and the evolution of the auto industry. And his third point is that income inequality spurs innovation. So to Jordan's first point, as I stated in my own argument, income inequality and capitalism often coexist in a fragile balance, and I emphasize fragile. According to economists Galor and Seira in their published report, the effect of rising income inequality on the gross domestic product per capita is negative in relatively rich countries, but positive in poor countries. So this indicates that income inequality does not always spur economic growth. Additionally, according to a Forbes article, it was titled, "Income Inequality Hurts Economic Growth," the author points out, references a study done by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and this study showed that there is actually a reduction of economic growth because of a growing concentration of income amongst a very small population. And so this study concluded that there is a negative and significant correlation between the level of income inequality and economic growth. They cite examples of trends, income inequality knocking more than 10 percentage points off of growth in countries such as Mexico and New Zealand, nearly 9 points off of percentage growth off of the UK, Finland, and Norway, and 6 to 7 points off of growth in the US. To speak to Jordan's second point, there are instances where those with great wealth attained by innovation and capitalism themselves contributed back to society, or their business did. But I would argue that this is not indicative that income inequality is necessarily good for society, but rather his argument is a supporting point for capitalism. Philanthropically, we do see instances where there are those with great wealth that did not contribute to society or demonstrate social responsibility with their business. I think of Leona Helmsley, the famous hotelier and businesswoman. She walked on the backs of her employees, contractors, society as a whole. Referencing her famous phrase of the little people, she ultimately refused to pay taxes and was convicted of tax evasion and extortion. Her business fostered income inequality, and it spurred employee and community hatred of her for her low wages paid and the unrealistic and demanding performance measures she put on her employees. Jordan's example of Rockefeller making it better for society by creating more jobs, we are reminded of how those workers were exposed to unsafe working conditions, low wages, and ultimately there were examples in history of union labor strikes. And finally, Jordan's third point, that income inequality spurs innovation. This argument is closely aligned with his first argument relative to capitalism. Yes, capitalism can indeed spur innovation. Yet I would argue that the concept of great profit or just wealth or fame or legacy would be the driving motivators for innovation as well, not that income inequality is the actual driving force behind innovation. The problem for society is that those who often take those risks, innovate and develop businesses, do so at the expense of others, at the cost of others, workers, communities, families, and society as a whole. So although Jordan's points have a modicum of substance, they do not discount the fact that the problems for business and society still remain a byproduct of income inequality. Thanks for your time.